Welcome back to another episode of Unleash Mindset. I am Rick Hugh, global speaker, business performance coach, private wealth advisor, and founder and CEO of our private wealth family office. Today, I'm excited to introduce you a very special guest and friend. I have Ernie Ng here, who's the CEO of Mannings Supplies and Confucius Pharmacy. So I'm super excited because if you know Ernie, he took the traditional route, like most Asian children, to achieving success. But later point in his career, he decided to pivot. That pivotal move was able to help him achieve his current level, which I think is not traditional at all. I'm super excited. Ernie, why don't we start by telling us about your origin story, your upbringing, your childhood, and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rick, for that warm introduction. I have the usual immigrant story. I'm born in Hong Kong and came over when I was one. I've been living in Bayside, Queens. I've been in Queenshead all my life. Got a beautiful family, father and mother. Mom was a housewife who took care of us every single day, had food ready on the table, did our homework. My dad was the breadwinner, and got a lovely little sister that drives me crazy, but I love her to death. And we went through the public school system. District 26, one of the best out there. They put us through the usual cram courses, tutoring, learn art class, Chinese class. It's all meant to give us that step up in life. And up to high school, went to Bronx Science.
Wow, I'm a Brooklyn Tech guy, Bronx Science. We have love and respect, but also a little bit of hate because you have to score a little higher to get to Bronx Science.
Yes. And I always like to highlight the story. My dad never lets it go that I missed Stuyvesant by 11 points.
We both, Brooklyn Tech and Bronx Science, have an equal amount of hate for Stuyvesant kids. So if you're from Stuyvesant, respect but hate. I'm kidding. No, we're not. Yes.
So up until, I still remember in high school, junior year, we talk about college apps, and it's a confusing time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. The first true pressure we have as adults. The usual route we either go become an attorney, become a doctor, an accountant perhaps. I had no passion for neither of those or anything else per se. So my father said, let's go to pharmacy school, and I took it and ran with it. So went to LIU in Brooklyn,
Great school.
Great school, yeah, and in the NCAA right now. The industry's treated me very well. And my parents have always believed you just grind it out. You work hard, you study hard, that's how you found success. May not be the case, later on in my career, but that was the theme of my life up to that point. Pharmacy school was great, the 6 years of that, pretty smooth sailing. While we were doing that, I definitely just grinded it hard. I'd go to school in the daytime, and then at night, I would work in a pharmacy. Eckerd's and Genevieve's, who's now defunct, and I became a pharmacy technician, pharmacy stock boy first. Worked up the ranks, staff pharmacist, part-time pharmacist, supervising pharmacist in Flushing, Queens, and at that point there was a crossroads, right? You graduate with 6 figures that just sits on your shoulder. And that time, there was no course in financial literacy. I had no idea about what was subsidized and unsubsidized. I knew what interest was, but the concept of compound interest didn't strike me. I just want to have fun. And so, with this, you had to decide what am I gonna do? What's my next step? And I like to tell a story a little bit of how it all kind of began, how I got into business. I was looking for a job, and it was common to look for a job on Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yes.
I don't know how many Generation Alpha have even heard of Craigslist. Yeah.
Oh, no, not at all. But I don't know if it's around, but I looked for a job. It was to cover a pharmacy out in Chinatown. And she later reached out to me, told me she had a newly established pharmacy in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. And she was looking for a pharmacist. She had the funds, but not a pharmacist. I myself, I had a little bit of funds saved up, but not a whole lot to start a new pharmacy. But I was willing to put in the work. And I was at the crossroads. Do I take that first initial pot of money that I had as a down payment for a house and lock myself down for a 30-year mortgage, or do I invest myself? And thankfully, I believe I made the right decision, and I went all in on this venture. And I still remember the day in 2013 where, in June, the contractor said to me, "Hey, Ernie," shook my hand, and said, "You're a small business owner now." And
Wow.
it was a very proud moment in my life. This is something that I'm doing, for myself. And I remember getting a green bean bag from IKEA and not sleep there, because I wouldn't let that business fail. All right, I only had one shot at this. And I'll pull in 80, 90 hours worked, and I'll sleep there. I tell myself every patient counts. And every patient I came in, I counseled them personally. I told myself, and I only had one employee at that time. Yeah, it all matters. If we get one patient a day, by end of the week, we'll get 7. At the end of the month, we'll get 30. They'll tell their family, their friends. And at the end of the year, we had tremendous growth. And I was very fortunate that by the end of the year, we were able to have enough funds to start a second pharmacy. And I remember taking the funds from the second year and paid off all my student loans in one shot.
Wow.
Right? And that was another proud moment. I still have that payoff letter right on my refrigerator.
Wow.
Remind myself, that's what her hard work does. You just grind it out. And a little bit after that, 5 years, I had an opportunity to acquire Confucius Pharmacy, Manning Surgical Supplies, and they've been a staple of the community for a very long time. They were established in 1977, not by myself, but their philosophy has always been community work for the community, taking care of the patients, and especially what I really love is taking care of their own. The employees there have been a second family to me. We have employees, and I'm proud to say this, who's been with us 20 years, even though I believe this one is 30 years. And that doesn't happen every day in business. And that's kind of how I've been able to grow from one pharmacy into this, I guess you say, this empire per se, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't stop. Hopefully, I can continue on with the growth and trajectory. It's a trying environment as it is nowadays, and I think that's the most exciting part of the job. You never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. That's so inspiring to hear. Hearing that you took the traditional route and your parents says, "Hey, go down the pharmacist direction." I remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, being a pharmacist was actually more popular. I remember growing up, since you and I are very similar in age, than being a doctor. Because the idea of going to medical school and then taking on multi-six figures of student loans versus just 6 years as a pharmacist was a lot less risk.
Right. They took it as a better ROI, I guess you'd say, right?
Absolutely.
But even starting a business, I think my family wasn't exactly so gung ho about it. They're nervous. They're nervous about it. I mean, when I started a pharmacy, I was 27. Right?
Wow.
They're like, "Never started a pharmacy. Are you sure you want to do this?" I had my own family tell me, "No, don't do it."
Doubting you.
Doubting me, right?
Yeah.
And so it took a lot to actually pull the trigger and believe in myself, right? Because we're taught growing up culturally that we take care of the family first. We don't think of self first. We're known to got to keep a head down, don't stir up trouble, just lock yourself down, make that money, do your 9 to 5, go home, start a family, the usual route. So this, very risk adverse. So, I'm proud to say I didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
And it's really had paid off.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about, in life, do you want to be average, above average, or below average? I'm sure every Asian family or any family would say, be above average. But what we don't understand is when you do the same thing as everyone else, you're just going to be average.
Right.
So you took on that risk. I think our parents, being Asian, there's a lot of scarcity, but more importantly, it's a conservative upbringing.
Yes.
It's like stability, stable salary. Why would you give up that stable salary and invest in being a business owner, high fail rate, and more importantly, 27 years old, and finally, Craigslist, I think people buy Pokemon cards on Craigslist, and half the time they're fake. So therefore, for you to find your business partner on Craigslist, I think it was all meant to be.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's a fate, but you have to put yourself out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, there's a little bit of luck, but I think I was very fortunate. I told myself that I'm not happy with my current situation, but I never try to keep keep getting better.
Yep.
And see where life takes me.
Yep. You chose to invest in yourself.
Yes.
And I do believe there are always going to be that certain percentage of luck, but the harder we work, as cliche as it sounds, the luckier we get. You said that as you invested in your pharmacy, you decided, I'm going to go to IKEA and buy a sleeping bag, and if necessary, you already committed to sleeping in the pharmacy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
All in.
failure was not an option for me
Yes.
at that time. I was going to will it to success, and
Yeah.
I'd actually failed to mention, but I even took a pay cut.
Yeah.
Right. Most business fails in the first year or two, and what I mean, I wouldn't let it fail. It means like I was taking a pay cut deep, all right, so that the business can't survive. And yeah, it wasn't about instant gratification.
Yep.
Right. It's about putting in the work and delaying it, and so that good things come. Right.
Yeah. I think all business owners quickly realize, first, you have to invest in the business with no guarantees of return and growth. Second, as a business owner, there is no guarantee. Like you and me, take a massive pay cut. And then number three, it's just what you put in is what you get back.
Right.
And you said when you started, it was you and one person helping you.
Right.
But you looked at your customers, your clients, as a human being.
Right.
You said, hey, no matter where I start, every person matters.
Right. They weren't just a number or the prescription.
That's
They
right.
were, hey, they were my people.
Yeah,
My community.
They were trusted relationships. And that one person can introduce you to their family and expand your outreach, your brand. And eventually, you said after 1 year of opening this pharmacy, you made enough money to pay off your student loans, 6 figures of student loans.
Yes. It wasn't about taking that money and buying a house and, living it up in Las Vegas and anything like that. It was, I became fiscally responsible. Yeah.
No debt.
Yeah, no debt. Yeah, I don't know. I still have that payoff letter on my refrigerator as a proud moment to remind myself.
Good. That's great. What an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Now, when you transition from being a pharmacist to being a business owner, and now taking that next leap of faith to invest in a staple like Manning Surgical Supplies and Confucius Pharmacy, and now you're CEO of multi-8-figure successful business. I believe you shared with me in 2017 when you invested in that business with your partner, you so far have 2x the revenue. And you have over 100 employees that you manage and you lead as the CEO. What's that like? Like how do you go to Bronx Science, LIU to be a pharmacist, you become a pharmacist, then you become a small business owner because I'm sure there was not much courses you learned to help prepare you to be a business owner, and then now CEO, because business owner and CEO is tremendously different.
Completely different. I was trained to be a pharmacist, right?
Yes.
They don't give courses on how to be a business owner, how to read a profit loss statement and balance sheet. I mean, you learn as you go, and every step of the way is a learning opportunity. You'll make mistakes, right? And just kind of keep going. I think the biggest inflection points in my life, the first one being in 2013 when I mentioned the contractor shook my hand and said, hey, congratulations, you're a business owner now. And so like, I'm no longer just a pharmacist, I'm a business owner now, right? And that opened an entirely new chapter where I had to continually learn and read books, talk to my peers. 2017 was a big one.
Yep.
When we acquired Manning Surgical Supplies.
Why did you acquire Manning Surgical Supplies? You had what, 3 locations?
3 locations at that time.
As your original pharmacy.
Yes.
Why take on something that's been around since 1977? At that time, if we do the math, 40 years old company. I'm sure as traditional and staple in the Chinese community as it is, I am sure there are also areas that lack an ability to grow,
Right.
innovation, technology, and you're coming in as the new owner, partner, investor. There's going to be old culture in there that you had to probably figure out.
Oh, I cannot tell you how difficult change management is.
Of course.
Right? And
Yeah.
that was a difficult ball of yarn to untangle. But I believe that during that time, retail pharmacy to truly scale out wasn't to open more locations. Right? That's how most people thought. Open more locations, hire more people, and that's how you grow. And I didn't really believe that was the case. I didn't believe pharmacy was in a good place regulatory wise. And so I really believe Manning Surgical Supplies had the branding. I find tremendously important. And also a second line of business, the surgical supplies, the durable medical equipment. I mean, pharmacy gets all the hype,
Yes.
but people don't talk about surgical supplies per se, right? If I mention, soda, right? The first thing that comes to mind might be a Sprite or Coca-Cola, right? But I say surgical supplies, who do you think of, right? And I believe that was the opportunity there.
Yeah.
So we can be not just within Chinatown but all of New York. And that's what I'm really aiming for in the next 5 years.
Why surgical supplies? I know the pharmacy industry is so saturated. There are
Yes.
so many different types of pharmacies. Now, I think with AI and technology, many brick and mortar stores are closing or being bought out and merged by bigger conglomerate brands and chains. But surgical supplies is not really that popular.
No.
Why do you see that as an opportunity? And what makes Manning Surgical Supplies and Confucius Pharmacy come together as the direction and future of your company?
That's a great question, Rick. You're correct. I think anyone that knows New York, when they walk around the neighborhood, they'll see a pharmacy on every single block.
Yes.
Right? But to your point earlier, we don't want to be average. How do we differentiate ourselves from everybody else? That's what surgical supply is. Why aren't there more of them? It's not an easy business. All right, it's a very labor-intensive, tedious process to take a prescription for a wheelchair, all the way to billing it and processing to delivery, and it's a long drawn-out process. Sometimes you take it as a loss, but that's where the opportunity is. Right, you put in the work, and I believe firmly, especially in this day and age, you bring in the innovation, you document the SOPs, you bring in the automation and machine learning, and the innovation, you streamline the process, you lower the manual labor, that's where the opportunity is. Right? And how we're going to get there, we're still figuring that out.
That's why you're
But
the
that's
CEO.
part of the fun. That's
Yes.
part of the fun.
Visionary and CEO.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful team around me to help execute that plan.
That's beautiful. And the fact that you're able to see the future as this visionary leader for your company and say, hey, the pharmacy industry, as much as it's growing, there's opportunity to create a new line of service and division for your consumers, because that is a untapped market.
Yes, yes.
Speaking of untapped market, I understand that you also co-founded a company called Sprout Technology.
Yes, yes. You did your homework.
Yes, of course. We care about you dearly. So tell me more about Sprout Technology, because it's all tied together, isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Sure.
So we have a CRM that manages all our patients, and whether I look, and I did my research trying to find the best fit, and unfortunately, it didn't exist. All right, so we couldn't find a product that we can truly grow around it, and so we decided to bring in our own developers, a CTO, and invest and build solutions around it. Right, we're building our own automations and workflow processes to help us, and I figured this problem that we have isn't unique just to us. So why not do so and make sure that it's done in a way where it's not agnostic. All right, if I can repackage it, license it back out to a fellow vendor, another DME vendor, there's another opportunity there. Right, and so we're doing it in such a way where we're giving us more outs, essentially.
Yeah. I think overall, It's about the experience.
Yes.
The experience. So as you continue down this journey, and we talk about this often, when you're starting out and you think on a low level, everyone is competition. As you rise higher to your calling, we find that everyone, your peers, are collaboration. You realize in your industry, not really having a good CRM system, it's like everyone using Excel. And if you're a business owner and you're still using Excel today,
Yeah.
you are in the dinosaur era. That is
Agreed.
not efficient, okay? So you wanted to create a new system that collects data, because without data, we're not able to be leaders and CEOs and make an informed, educated decision. Everything is based on gut, because there's not enough proof for us to make that accuracy and call. Would
Right.
you agree?
Agreed. I mean, data runs the world now. So we need to be able to measure it. We need to be able to interpret it, right? If we have, and coming to Mannings, that's where my first problem is. We had decades of different softwares and solutions that don't talk to each other, right? It becomes a case of garbage data in, garbage out. All right, we're not able to measure anything. And so making decisions without real objective data becomes very difficult. It becomes a case where it's a two-step forward, one-step back approach. But now that we have some data to kind of inform us, we're much more confident. There's more buy-in from the team. Everyone is more understanding, and whether or not it fails or not, it's all in black and white.
Yes. Yeah. I think too many business owners out there, when it comes to making informed decisions, they don't understand their financials and their numbers, and like their ROI, profit margins, consumer base, and maybe different product lines. And I say this, what you don't track, you don't care. And if you don't have data to make informed decisions, that is a questionable decision for you as a leader. And they say the best CEOs, the best business owners, I think it was a Harvard Business School study, is they did the survey to find out what is the biggest differentiator of a leader, and that is average or below average leaders look at a business and manage it. The greatest, most successful business owners, CEOs, and leaders, they look at their business and look at it as an investor. Where are you investing your time, your resources, your human power? And sounds to me today, you're not doing much pharmacist work, are you?
No. I think in the beginning in 2013, when the first pharmacy, yeah, well, to cut costs, you wear multiple hats. I'm HR, I'm payroll, I'm the pharmacist on charge, I'm scheduling everything. But as you move up, time becomes that much more important. Time is your biggest asset.
Yes.
Right. And so I like to make this example. Like, I'm driving with my wife and we're paying a toll. Right. Nobody wants to pay $10 for the battery tunnel. But if I tell her, if I'm saving 15 minutes of my time, it's worth it. I'm going to pay it. And so how do I free myself out? I have to delegate it. And I don't know what I don't know. It is one of my favorite statements. I have to find people who know what they're doing. And to your point about reading finances and ROIs and reports, that's where I bring in a CFO, right? If I don't know technology very well, I bring in a CTO. If I have a great plan, but I don't have the time to execute it, I bring in a COO. So in the first 3 years, I really spent a lot of time finding the right people to surround myself, the C-suite level team to help make my vision come true.
Wow. No wonder you've shared with me how your company has not only doubled since you took over in 2017, and I know exactly why. They say when it comes to scaling and growing a businesses with less than $1 million of revenue, it's truly because the leader is unable to identify where money flows or where there is opportunity to make money. For businesses at the 1 to 3 million revenue, they are just constantly saying yes to things, such as they're wearing way too many hats. They are the manager, the front desk, the chef, whatever their task is, because although their business is growing, they're not able to scale because they say yes to too many things. And in fact, it's more important to learn to say no. Businesses from 3 to 10 million revenue have to build systems and process. That's where you identify that you don't have a strong CRM data. And then businesses like yours that are 10 million plus, which is incredible, the biggest driver to success is finding your C-suite leaders. You mentioned your CTO, your COO, your CFO, many of them who we know dearly and closely, and they are your superstars, your secret weapons. Were they all groomed in-house at Manning Surgical Supplies and Confucius Pharmacy, or were they, found outside talent?
Another great question, Rick. So the structure that we have is we have people internally that are working collaboratively with my suite.
Yes.
My C-level suite, and they're people who know the business inside out.
That's right.
Right. But I found it important to bring in people from the outside.
Yes.
Right. Experts in their field. So my CFO, though he's not from New York, incredibly well versed on the finances. So he does everything: forecasting, budgeting, monthly review, financial reviews, things that I am not trained to do. My COO, for example, he's gone through the whole startup businesses and taking it public and all that, Series A, B, C. I had never been exposed to. I've been a grinder all my life. So I found it important to have a pair of fresh eyes to give me perspective. And my CTO, he knows everything when it comes to automation. I have no idea what Power Automate, how to write code. And so they all bring something to the table that complements what I'm missing. And they work closely with my team. And it's not to say that I don't bring up internally. They all work collaboratively, and I empower them to work closely with everybody to accomplish the same mission. We know where we need to be objectively. We know what revenue we need to hit by the end of the quarter. We know what projects we want to go prioritize. They each have a rock. All right, they all have a specific project that they're going to work on for next quarter. So it's not just about me. I empower them, whatever they feel passionate about. We're just all pulling the boat in the same direction.
Yeah, but everyone have a superpower,
Yes.
a responsibility, and hearing you as like a CEO, from CEO to CEO, our responsibility is to be the visionary leader, to come up with the ideas and then delegate.
Yes.
Right, and that's why you finding your C-suite and looking from the outside industry, bringing them inside, is what I believe most successful CEOs have shared with me. Is once you get to a certain stage, especially at the 10 plus million, 8 figures, 9 figures and beyond, 10 figures, money is actually not the number one priority to be successful. It's speed and time. Speed and time. So you said, hey, instead of me grooming internally people that can be C-suite executives, I'm sure you have so much tremendous talent, over 100 people in your company. You said, because of speed and time, and you have a fiduciary responsibility to your company, your teams, your investors, partners, you said, hey, I'm going to look from outside and reduce the time, increase the speed, and get your company to the success it is today.
Correct.
Yes. Now, let's pivot a little bit. Now, I would love to hear about your childhood. Like growing up, you said and this is a topic I've been asked before, your mom was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. Your father was the breadwinner. Your parents told you to be a pharmacist, which now you are. And I know your sister, incredible human being, but she's a doctor.
And a pharmacist. So overachiever.
Overachiever,
God.
That's right. So, when it comes to parent dynamic, so sometimes I struggle with this because my wife, Hannah, she's home with our 3 kids. And I'm the breadwinner like your father. Some couples or business owners says, hey, how should I balance the roles? Is it more important where one stays home with the children and one goes out there and work? Is it important that both go out there and work and hire help or have other family if they're blessed enough to help? Like, do you believe your childhood and upbringing really impacted your education, your morals, your values, who you are today? And also, who was your role model growing up?
Oh, that's a lot to unpack there, Rick.
Yeah.
I think the biggest factor is my parents were present.
Yes.
And so me having a 1-year-old daughter now, love of my life,
Eloise.
Eloise, my beautiful daughter. And having a daughter really changed everything, right? Everything else becomes trivial. I want to make sure that I'm present for her all the time.
Yes.
And so I want to be that role model for her, right? It's funny you ask, because growing up, in my room I had posters of Michael Jordan. I grew up in the 90s, right? So Michael Jordan was my biggest role model. He was a winner, he was tenacious, successful, hardworking, everything that I wanted to be. And not to say that I didn't love my dad, but almost naturally, he's not my first role model, right? And so thinking about it, I'm like, I want to be that role model for my daughter. And so it pushes me to push myself even harder.
I think they say for boys, when they grow up to a certain age, it's usually like the teenage age. We probably grow up when we were young boys, falling in love with our mothers and admiring and wanting to be like our fathers.
Oh boy, I was a mama's boy. I
You're
can
a
tell
mama's
you that.
boy.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, it was tough.
yes.
It's tough. But it's. I remember growing up, like I see, it's not a terrible thing too. But in my 20s, what drove me was wanting things, right? I
Yeah.
wanted a nice car, living in a nice apartment, and getting the girls. That's what
Yeah.
drove me as a 20-year-old.
Yep.
Boy, certainly now that's not the same.
Yep.
Right? Priorities have changed, and now I just want peace and time to spend with my wife, Emily, and my daughter, Eloise, and that's what is most important to me. This time is my biggest asset now.
Yeah. Last year I turned 40, and my wife says, "Hey, it's your big decade. What do you want for your birthday?" And I simply said, "I want peace." And she was like, "Peace? What does that mean?" I just said, "Just peace." She's like, "Don't you have peace?" I'm like, "Not the type of peace you think I have." Yeah. So you and I can resonate so well. And it's like when we get to a certain age, it's just that inflection point. I think when we get to our teenage years, let's say if our father was our role model because we wanted to grow up like them, we start realizing, and it's either happy or sad at the same time, at least for me, I realized my father had a lot of flaws. Scarcity mentality, conservative nature. He, like most Asians, just kept hoard cash. Work hard, but never work smart. You were blessed enough to have your parents present. I did not. In fact, my parents moved to Georgia to start a business, and I slept on my grandmother's couch for 2 years. I still remember in 3rd and 4th grade, and I would kiss my parents' picture every night while getting a calling card, and it was like a $10 calling card. My grandparents would like yell at me because I talked too long because they were counting by the minutes.
Yes.
And then the picture was like crumbled because I would kiss them every night and say, "Daddy, Mommy, I love you." But that was my traumatizing childhood. So I quickly, like you, or maybe different, I knew my father wasn't my role model. And I realized I had to surpass my father because I did not want to give my son the same childhood that I had. And it's also beautiful when you talked about your daughter, your eyes change. And knowing you before you got married, knowing you before you had your daughter. So there's a saying, right? There are inflection points, like when you were in your 20s and I was in my 20s. Yeah, like the nice house, the car, the lifestyle, the girls, all those things are important. But maybe at a certain point, we're like the family, the peace, the health. So that's very inspiring to hear. Now, tell me more. Now that you are a father, your daughter being 1 year old, what are some things you wish your daughter can experience, you could teach her that you may or may not have learned growing up yourself?
Oh my God, there's so much I want to teach her.
Yeah, she will grow up to watch this, and she'll be super inspired, proud of her dad.
I like to. I would hope so.
I know so.
I mean, I think when I think about the way I grew up is, I think the scarcity mindset was a big thing, right?
That's right.
Just not understanding that for you to be happy or successful, you don't need external validation, right? I mean, growing up, Zanga was a big thing, right? The more e-props you got, the more happier. The more likes on Facebook, the more happy you are. But unfortunately, it's still very much the case in this society.
Yeah,
right?
social media.
Social media. I want her to feel confident and strong and from within. Daddy loves her, mommy loves her, and you don't need people from outside will make you feel beautiful and strong.
I think that's beautifully said. Unfortunately, when our peace and happiness is through external validation, we have no control of that. And we're
Right.
constantly seeking it. But once we fill in our own internal peace and happiness, then in fact, once our own cup is full, we can fill in others. And unfortunately in society, social media, branding, I read an article that the number one occupation, you and I growing up, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Today, schools, public schools are saying, wouldn't it be cool if you were an influencer? Being an influencer. Like, I don't know what it means to be an influencer, right? Because influencer means you're influential, means you might have a lot of followers, shares, likes. And now that may be important for some, but I don't know when that changed, right? It's not about the quantities, the quality of
Right.
the people,
Right.
right? And the relationships you have. So I think what you just said about like helping her find her own validation is key, is so beautifully said.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, we all go through that too. I'm right. Easy example is if I get a 90, I'm gonna make my parents proud, right? Anything B and under, I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna show this, right? Right. But it takes work. A lot of stuff that we're talking about today, it could change. We, as human beings, we continue to learn. Everything you mentioned before, even with the business, from going from 0 to 10 million. I mean, I've gone through it. I mean, it's not to say that you're stuck in one way, but if you're staying mindful of the opportunities that are available, you know, you can continue growing and investing in yourself.
Yeah. You talked about C-suites that really made that profound leap from, let's say, 7 figures to now 8 figures and now multi-8 figures. What about other professionals that you say would have impacted you?
Oh,
I know sometimes as the enemy of learning is knowing. I personally say we don't know it all. I love to say that I'm a student for life. So what are some other impactful, as CEO, building your C-suite, helping you with financial literacy, everything, being a parent, what were some important, crucial decisions you made?
Well, big thing is simplify your life, right? Admit that to yourself. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know, and that's okay. That's okay. I remember wanting to learn everything about the world, but you become a jack of all trades, master of none. And so, maybe around my 30s, you know, when I did a lot of internal work, I decided that it's time to look elsewhere a little bit. And I believe that's when I no longer wanted to think scarcely, right? I remember we want to try to save as much money as I can. All right, let's go file my own taxes, because then I don't have to pay someone $200. All right, to file my taxes at H&R Block or something like that. I believe the biggest people that make my life more comfortable, more successful, are a banker,
Access to capital.
access to capital, an accountant.
Yep.
All right, I love my accountant to death. Shout out to Irina. She does everything from my corporate tax strategy to my personal.
Great.
A attorney,
Yep.
whether it be a trust attorney, corporate attorney, pharmacy attorney, and a financial advisor, right? And these are my personal team that I don't skimp out on.
Yeah.
They can make your life so much more enriched if you find the right people. And it doesn't happen overnight. You could just start small, right? But yeah, it's been a pleasure having them on my team.
And you just quickly mentioned your Avengers, and it's kind of like going back to the most successful people in the world. They have what's called a family office. They don't go to H&R Block to file their taxes. They don't go to certain places to seek advice. They actually hire within. But what I found, and you just mentioned it quickly, is you have an incredible CPA who teaches you tax strategies, helping you on the corporate and the personal side. You have an incredible attorney, and it's multiple types of attorney: corporate attorney, specialty for pharmacy attorney, your wills, trust, estate, generational wealth attorney, who we also know dearly as well. You mentioned banker. as a business owner, having access to capital, it's like fuel to help your business grow faster, and ability to like hire, train, recruit, grow, and scale.
Yes.
And then your financial planner who helps you, with the capital, the investment, who I know him dearly. He's also great friend, advisor at Midas Wealth. Shout out to Kelvin. He helps you, especially in different life stages. But why didn't you decide to do it yourself? Because I think growing up as an Asian person, my parents had said, why are you paying someone $50, $100 to do this? Also earlier when you said like, don't pay for toll, I would kid you not. This was maybe like 10 years ago, before I had kids. My grandmother and I were going to Chinatown for dim sum. I went to Brooklyn to pick her up. I took the Battery Tunnel to pick her up. And then going back to Chinatown, I would just say, hey, there's a little traffic on the BQE. Let me take the Battery Tunnel. I think it's like $6. As I was on the line to go through the Battery Tunnel, she slaps me and said, grandson, why are you going through the toll? Just take here. I said, Grandma, first of all, you were late. We're 30 minutes late to auntie and uncle's waiting for us at the dim sum spot. Second of all, it's just so much faster. And then she was like, well, take this route. I put in the regular BQE route. It was an extra almost 30 minutes. No. $6 for 30 minutes, that's
exactly.
$12 an hour.
Money
Not
well
to
spent.
mention my aunts and uncles waiting for us another maybe 30 minutes to eat. And then eventually I did not listen to my grandmother, although I love her dearly. And if she watched this, I'll say it again. Took the Battery Tunnel, got there 30 minutes earlier. She complained about, you're wasteful. You don't know how to earn money. And I said, Grandma, you're wasteful on time. You don't know how to value, understand, and respect our time. But what made you, where was that inflection point, which most Asians that are conservative and don't have that type of upbringing, when did you change and think that way? Like hire, spend money on the professionals for the advice. Hire and spend money on the resources to buy back your time.
Well, there becomes a point in life where you just want to balance everything, right? I know for a fact that I didn't want to work 90 hours a week at a pharmacy, all right? How are you going to accomplish, how are you going to manifest that? And like I said, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to just start planning ahead. I wanted that lifestyle where I can make passive income, right? I think that's a key point. But also be able to enjoy the spoils of all my hard work. And to accomplish that meant letting go and hiring people, my Avengers team per se. And mind you, the best thing about the team that I have is they all know each other. They're all friends, all right? My banker introduced me to you,
Yes.
right? My pharmacy attorney introduced me to my CPA, and they all know my employees, right? All my colleagues, and it's a wonderful dynamic, and that really enriches your life.
Great community.
It's a community.
Yes.
Community.
Communicating, rowing the same direction, same mission on hand, which is, of course, supporting you growing and accomplishing these goals.
Yes. Yeah.
So now that you share with us your past, now you share with us your present. Tell us what the future looks like. The next 5 years, right? 5 years from now, Louise is going to be in kindergarten and being a father. Like, tell me about like personal life. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Tell me about career, professional. What do you want to accomplish, if we can, by 2030?
I think that's kind of part of fun not knowing. I'll tell you for sure, I'm gonna love watching my baby girl grow up. Having children really does add a color in your life. Everything becomes more bright and more colorful. If my wife Emily can be so kind, I would love a second child.
Emily?
Yes.
Please.
I certainly. I mean, I love kids. I've always known that. And so it becomes kids first, kid centric, right? But on a corporate level, company side, we want to keep growing, right? We don't want to spend all this time just grinding it out. I remember often I see these company startups who are having explosive growth 5 years time, and I can't help but my competitive nature saying, damn it, why can't we have the same percentage growth? And this knowing that they're definitely in the minority, but I want to be able to put my company in a position where we do have that explosive growth, be ready for maybe private equity funding, maybe go public, something to that nature. But I do want to continue bringing more automation in the company so that we can grow outside of Chinatown. We want to take over New York City and New York State. There's nothing that's limiting us but ourselves.
Just knowing that on the personal side, the family side, I know you, Emily, incredible parents, loving to your daughter. I know Emily is probably saying, hey, we want to spend all our precious time to Eloise, but I think you having a second child to give Eloise company and have a sibling like you had.
Yes.
I did not have a sibling growing up as an only child. That's why I'm a little bit weird, as my wife says. But I think it's healthy to have a second child. But when it comes to your business side, that's probably a side that I would share with you. Looking at all these companies that have explosive growth, either receive capital investment by private equity or get bought out by private equity or go IPO and such, which we've helped many of our clients with. I think it comes down to one word: branding. Now, Confucius, pharmacy, Manning, surgical supplies, 50 years almost in the community, is such a staple that I know majority of the Chinese community in New York City have heard of them. And that is the problem, just the Chinese community.
Agree with you.
So what I would say is just reading all these business books, and I would say we have clients that have, within a 5-year period, scaled their business to 8 figures, 9 figures. In fact, we have a client who just IPO'd his company 10 figures. How did he do it? Branding. Branding and relationship. Relationship is the resources. What we don't know, other people may know, they help us. But the branding is just thinking about like some of your other competitors, like Capsule, right? From my understanding, they don't really have any brick and mortar stores. They'll probably have one, right? CVS, Rite Aid, if they're still around, all of those brick and mortar pharmacies closing down. Why? Because Capsule growing explosive growth is because they realize today it's all about convenience. I don't know if the Asian community understand convenience, but certainly my grandmother does not understand convenience. She'll still probably take the train, go out to the brick and mortar pharmacy, but her grandchild, me, or her great grandchild, my kids, will probably say, hey, let's just order medication online. So I think it's on the branding side, it's the online AI automation, but I also think it's more than the Chinese community. So let's talk about that. As you think about the next 5 years with all this innovation, as a fearless, visionary CEO, where do you see innovation help your industry?
Care is going to be delivered in a very different way in the coming years. All right, it's not going to be bring a prescription, pick it up, and then that'll be the end of it. It's going to be coordinated care. Right now, I believe you have pharmacy very separate from your physician. I believe one day care is going to be delivered streamlined. All right, they're all going to talk to each other. It's going to be very collaborative. So that's what I believe healthcare is going to look like. How do we prepare for that? We need to be able to be ready to connect and integrate with any system. And that's where I mentioned it being agnostic, right? We need to be able to talk to different systems. And how do we do that? Through data. All right, through clear, clean processes. And that's going to take time. Most companies don't have that mindset of building that, right? They're just thinking about the bottom line. And I get that, I've been there. But that's what we're focused on right now. Not so much, I don't believe right now it's adding more locations. That's not growth. My thing is think big, scale fast, but start slow. And we're now in the start slow phase. We want to make sure everything is, the infrastructure is lined up for that.
Beautiful. I heard 2 things. It's you and I being Chinese, it's called the dragon effect. So 一條龍服務 in Cantonese. So you said pharmacy, surgical supply, data, it's all coming together, right? So just how can we continue to innovate and elevate and optimize what we're doing, but create more divisions so that we can support but better. And the second is what I heard is experience. I do believe in today's modern world and with the future with AI and automation, there is going to be something called margin profit compression. Every industry is experiencing compression when it comes to profit and margin. But I don't think the best of the best within the industry will experience it much. So instead of saying, hey, for every product goods, it's, let's say, a $10 profit, we have to drop it to $5 profit, $1 profit to thrive and survive. No, you're actually becoming your competition, killing yourself, and you're going to be out of business soon. But you can maintain $10 profit, but instead of offering one level of experience and service, offer 2 and 3.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, our patients maybe have these monthly prescriptions, but what can we also do to help them? Like maybe like ask them, hey, what is their experience? Offer more lines. I think margin compression will come, but experience elevation, and as you think about all these services, can take you to the future and help you continue to thrive and lead the marketplace and grow outside of just the Asian community.
Right. I mean, we're definitely very mindful of the patient journey. And
Yep.
so we don't have all our eggs in one basket, not just the delivery of prescription medications, but we're also going out to, hey, how do we deliver our medication better? So we're looking to partner out with maybe an Uber or something like that to streamline that one, right? And we're looking at specialty pharmacy, all right? We're looking at compounding pharmacy as well as durable medical equipment. We're keeping our options open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're creating so much added lines and services that it allows you to offer more to various communities.
And they're not all gonna stick, and that's okay.
Yep.
Right? If one of them does very, very well, wonderful. If one has become stale, that's okay too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the past and the future now.
All right.
If you can go back into time, being the Ernie today, and you could tell your 8-year-old self word of advice, or share with your 8-year-old self words of encouragement, and go into the future, talk to your 80-year-old self, whether it's ask that person question or confirming things that you were going to do and did, what would you say to your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self?
Great question again. I thought about this.
Great people have great conversations.
Yeah. I think it would be the same thing before the 80-year-old self, me and my 8-year-old self. Like, are you happy, right? Are you joyful? Just be childlike, be happy. I think there's so much rush for a child to become mature and adult, and they lose that playfulness. But when the person starts to, I think that's when we start aging.
Yeah.
Right? We no longer play. We no longer have fun. Like, I am very fortunate. I married my best friend, so there's never a dull moment with her. Every day is like we're banter, we're having fun. So, yeah, I think that'd be a thing. Just remaining playful and enjoying my childhood as long as I can.
Awesome. And I hope your daughter gets to continue to grow up happy, healthy, and enjoy her childhood as well. Yeah. And I know as parents, you being best friends, you're going to offer that.
Yeah.
And then finally, let's say if the next minute is our last words of advice and we can share with the viewers, what is a quote that you would like to share as your last parting words of impact?
I thought about this. It's actually my yearbook, my high school yearbook. I felt, when I first saw it, I'm like, it's a little bit too strong, but I like it very much. And this is from Michael Jordan. And he goes something along the lines of, I was aware of my success, but I never stopped trying to get better. And I think it's just, you have to have the confidence to keep going, but you'll have to be willing to put in the work. And you wear that hustle and that grind like a badge of honor. If I could, my second one comes from the Bible. And I hold this quote, this Bible verse very dearly, and it comes from Galatians 6:2. And it says, carry each other's burdens, and in that way, fulfill the law of Christ. And it talks about accountability and fellowship and brother, and that sometimes, and it works very well with me and my wife. Sometimes, marriage is not always 50-50. Sometimes she'll carry me, sometimes I carry her. But it works the same way with all the relationships in my life.
Beautifully said, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
You have incredible advice. We're grateful to have you here today to share your story, share some advice, and I'm super excited about the journey for you, your family, your business as well. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.